Setting boundaries with women, kind of similar to what has been said here. Lots of guys get absolutely fucked over, manipulated in all kinds of ways. What kinds of boundaries do you set with women and how do you enforce them?
Who wants to go first?
Oh, I can't. I go. Well, for me, again, what I teach and what I've learned was always to create the standard before I go to my house. It's like you're a company. You got to have a mission statement, vision, a legacy, all those things, and a kind and based off your statements is that I am the standard. And I will not allow disrespect in my world. Do something, you're gone. You're removed. A great man like this guy named Jebediah Locario. I don't know what the fuck his name is, but I always say it, the hardest thing for a man is to get rid of a woman. They just don't want to leave us. They don't. But the reason they disrespect all of us in the beginning because they think we're all of them. And
Mm.
that's why as a man, I call it the merciful king. A woman's gonna try Locario like he's gonna try me 1950 in K Zaggin. They're gonna try us because they want to know, are you what we call fool's gold? Are you real gold? Or are you fool's gold? So I got to see what I can get away with. And when they get around a man, we don't tolerate it. Look, no yelling, no telling me what to do. And it's not a dictatorship. It's saying, if you want to get on this dick, this is what you need to do. You need to be worth my time. You got to show me you're worth my attention. You got to show me you're worth my respect. And if you're lucky enough, you'll get this dick. But I'm in control of my universe. The car is his. And the bottom thing about our universes is this: you're going to follow my rules or I ain't even going to fuck with you.
Basically. Yeah, it's really simple. It's
And
it's a guy. This is why we say on your terms. And can you stand on it? A lot of guys will act like they big and bad, but as soon as a girl they think is really hot comes along, then they throw everything out the window for that woman. And so part of you having those boundaries and those standards is that that has to be what it is, regardless of any woman. So it's not about the woman. Your boundaries, your standards of how your principles of how you do shit is what it is. And the woman has to come in understanding that's what it's going to be if she wants to continue to interact with you and deal with you and be in your space. See, the problem is a lot of guys don't have they don't value themselves. So at any moment they're willing to throw out what they're about for a woman. You understand? And then that's what makes women disrespect you because they're like, well, this dude don't respect themselves, so fuck it, I'm gonna not respect them also. But what happens is when a woman sees value in you, and then she's like, man, I really like this guy. I want to continue seeing this guy. I want to continue having sex with him. I want him to be my man. All these things, and she really desires you. She says, I have to adhere to his standards and I have to adhere to his principles because if I don't, he's going to get rid of me, and I don't want him to get rid of me. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times the reason why a woman is going to follow your lead is because she sees the value in you and she wants to stay. But she can't, that's not going to happen if you're the type of guy who just, every second you're switching up everything just because you want to get some vaginas. It's terrible.
Hmm. Yeah, and I would also say just to clearly define that, right? Like what aren't you willing to tolerate? What things or how can she communicate that would turn you off, right? Like for me, it's like if a girl says dude or bro, like I'll let it be known, right? That I know it's not really disrespecting, but still it's along that same wavelength. Like what things can she say
Mm.
or what can she do that is going to make you feel disrespect? And then you just put your foot down about it. You just say it right then and there,
Right.
right? I think a
And,
lot of
and
guys just don't know.
it's funny because I'm looking at, shout out to Mr. Justin in the chat, but I'm looking at 1776. And again, he's still one of these guys
It's crazy.
who he believes that if a woman complies or cooperates with you quickly, then she has to be 300 pounds or
That's
unattractive.
crazy,
You
man.
see, and this is the mindset of these guys. So this is what I'm saying. And the
for this
opposite for
guy,
him,
yes.
right? The opposite for him is true. The opposite is he has to jump through hoops, do jumping jacks, and chase the hot woman. So this is, and again, this is the mindset that's going to keep you guys lost. You guys have to understand that if you think that getting a hot chick or an attractive woman means that you have to run after her and do what she says and chase her and all this other stuff, you're going to lose every time. You understand what I'm saying? Just because you have a woman who looks physically attractive with you doesn't mean you're winning. You're only winning when you're dealing with women you want on your terms. That is it. If it's not on your terms, you're not winning. So I don't care how she look. If it's not on your terms, you are losing and you are a loser, because all that really means is that you followed her to get her. See, the thing is this, when you have game, you're not even trying to get women. When you have game, you know you're the opportunity for the women. So the women have to try to get you. They have to try to keep you. See, you give the woman an opportunity by approaching her and introducing yourself, because that's her opportunity to get with a man. If she fucks it up, that's on her. See, a lot of you guys, you're trying, you think the woman is the opportunity, which is why you're like, oh, she's so hot, she's so this, she's so that. So to you, she's the opportunity, which means you're a loser, because a woman wants to be with a man who she can look up to and who can guide her. If you're looking up to her, she's going to see that she's better than you, or she's going to think she's better than you. So this is why she don't really fuck with you like that, or is not really going to respect you, because you're looking up to her, putting her on a pedestal. So she has to look down on you. And women only want to fuck with and fuck guys who they perceive as better than them. So there's no way in the world that a woman perceives you as better than her when you're fucking chasing her because she's hot. This is the problem with you guys.
So I'm seeing in the chat, some guys are saying ICE is shifting over to the game side, or whatever, real game, no theory kind of thing. So yeah, guys. I came from. I was actually what's at least what PUAs would call a natural before I was exposed to this kind of industry or community of knowledge that is called the pickup community. I had no problems getting women, but keeping one was a problem that I was facing. That's just my history. But I'm understanding your perspectives a lot more now. And if I throw in some metaphors there, one metaphor I'm thinking of, which is kind of relevant to something that happened recently. Let's say I'm at a restaurant and the waitress takes too long to take my order. You guys are saying, go to the next restaurant. And then what PUAs would say is just convince her to come over here and take the order, influence her to finally take the order happen. Another metaphor I came up with is, if we compare this with marketing, maybe sales has been a theme in some of the debates recently. You guys have the mindset of Apple. You are going to buy the iPhone, or you are not going to buy the iPhone. And personally, I don't like Apple as a company, but that's irrelevant to this metaphor. Whereas PUAs in general would be like, okay, this is a sales opportunity. I will try to influence this person to buy, so you're involved in the sale. And then you guys are like, this is an Apple product. There are no discounts.
Right,
there's
because
no way
you know what it
to
is.
convince them.
This is
They
the
buy
thing,
or
bro.
they don't buy.
Right, because this is the thing. In any dynamic between a man and a woman, somebody has to submit. So either she's submitting to you or you're submitting to her. So what happens is that when you're only dealing with women on your terms, she has to submit to you or you're not going to deal with her. What most guys do is they submit to the woman. So they're like, she's hot. So, and she says, well, you're like, let's go get drinks. She's like, well, I don't drink, but we could go out to dinner. So now he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna take her out to dinner because she's hot. You've just submitted to her. So in any dynamic, somebody has to submit. Somebody's the leader and somebody's submitting. So a lot of you guys, what you do is that you're being submissive to the women because they're hot. And so what happens is that when you're submitting to a woman, she can't respect you because a woman wants to submit to a man. So she doesn't see you as a man if you're submitting to her. So she's basically using you for what you have, which is your time, your energy, your money, all whatever the hell it is. And she might give you some pussy. Don't get me wrong. A lot of you guys think because the girl is having sex with you or give you some sex, that's the end all be all. The problem is that how much did that cost? That cost you your dignity. That cost you your integrity. That cost you your respect. So what happens is that you're jumping through hoops to try to get sex from a woman, which means you are actively submitting to her, which means she is leading you. That's how it works.
Back to my restaurant metaphor, like recently, only maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago, I went to this place, just like a street food place, but they have their own dedicated waitresses. And they were taking way too long to give me the fucking menu. So it's just like, at some point it just becomes annoying, and yeah, the I want to respect myself and leave and go to a different restaurant that will actually serve me, like you say, within 5 minutes. So that I'm understanding this more. That's just how I want to examine it from the kind of lens that I have been looking through for years. For anyone who hasn't considered Lucario's perspective, Steve's perspective, and so on. So yeah, any other comments about this?
Well, it's not just okay. Well, I don't want. I see the thing is, I don't want people to see it as a Steve or Lucario's perspective. It's game. That's what game. It's just game. It's not our perspective. The perspective is looking at yourself to have the answers. That's it. That's it. It's
Right.
it's taken. Okay, it's just like think about first grade. In first grade, we didn't know how to count. So what did the teacher do? The teacher showed us numbers and how we interpreted the numbers based on how we studied gave us we were an A student or a bad student. You know what I mean? So that's what the game does. We're not saying be us. We're not saying think like us. We're saying you have the freedom to think for yourself when you actually want to think for yourself. But even with that being said, and I've always said this, even back in the slavery days, some slaves didn't even want to be free. When they were free, they were like, no, I don't want that freedom because I don't know what's out there. So I'll just stay here. And that's what for a lot of guys, they don't want the freedom to make decisions and take this weird thing called accountability for their actions. Listen, if you look at the PUA stuff, yeah, I noticed that. I've seen it in the late 80s and the 90s. I'm old. I've seen it all. But game has always been, if you're a Bible aficionado, Eve had game, if you think about it. She ran game on Adam, right? So game has always been there. And that's what we're always trying to say. But we're always trying to tell these young men, at the end of the day, learning who you are, that's it. Once you know who you are, then you decide what is beautiful to you. You decide how you talk to them. You decide the rules you want, but you'll take away the day games, the night games, the frames, the negs, the pigeonholes, the pegging, the cock-a-doodle-doos, and everything in between, because you start to realize, wait a second, that's not my language.
Right. Because
I'm sorry.
Because this is the thing. It's like this. Even when we talk about, the beauty standard or a woman a baddie or she's a 9 or 10 or whatever. The thing is, remember, we talk about game is about the individual. It's about yourself. So even when we talk about this, right, let's say in just a metaphor of numbers, right? If we're talking about 1 to 10, right? If we're adding up to 10, Steve might say 9 plus 1 is 10. I'm going to say 5 plus 5 is 10. Devin might say, 6 plus 4 is 10. Ice White might say 8 plus 2 is 10, right? But we're all getting to 10. So our 10s that we're getting to are different. Do you see what I'm saying? So I can't say, well, Steve, you're wrong that you said 9 plus 1 is 10 because only 5 plus 5 is 10. That don't make no sense because I'm coming from my perspective to get there. So just like, for example, if I like a girl who got a big butt and big titties, that's my 10. You can say the girl with the small titties is your 10. The girl with the big lips is my 10. The girl with the smaller lips is his 10. You see what I'm saying? So
hey, she's a transgender, but she's a 10 according to
right for that guy. Exactly. He can want, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we're trying to get you guys to understand. When you guys are still stuck in the paradigm of societal things, when society is telling you who you are, you're fucking up. So this is why when guys are talking about, oh, well, she's an 8, she's a 9, and she's objectively a 9, or that don't make no fucking sense because there's no such thing as objective 9. Objective means that everybody agrees. This is a phone. We all agree this is a fucking phone, right? What I'm saying is that subjectively, is the iPhone a great phone? I could say yes, Steve could say no, blah, blah, blah. That's subjective. So what you find sexually attractive, sexually appealing, and physically attractive is always subjective. There is no fact a woman is a 9, 10, hot, this and this and that. You could think that, but that's you still being in the paradigm of thinking about what society has taught you to think. This is why when you actually have game teaches you how to really be you. Just like you were saying, Devin, earlier, we was talking about like, who were you before society told you who you were? And this is the problem. A lot of you guys are leaning into what society is telling you who you are instead of actually leaning into who you actually are. And so what game does is that game is not about trying to change you to become this guy. Game is actually to strip you down of the bullshit society has taught you so you can recognize who the fuck you are. That's what it's about. You see what I'm saying?